Hey y'all, in this practice, we're gonna work on some hip strength and flexibility. We'll do a little bit of opening for our upper back as well, because that'll be nice to be able to access some of the deeper flexibility of our hips. So you'll want something to slide on. So you could use socks on hardwood. I like to have a blanket nearby for hardwood. You should be able to slide pretty well on carpet if you're wearing socks, but you can always use those plastic furniture sliders. I'd recommend having blocks, and if you'd like an extra pillow or a blanket for your hips, gather your tools and I'll meet you on your back. We'll get started lying down with your heels elevated on blocks. You can separate them about the distance of a mat. Set your heels up and lie back. Arms anywhere you'd like. You can either just stare at the ceiling or soften your eyes closed. And as your body comes to settle and you make some other minor adjustments to get yourself a little bit more comfortable, and start to draw your focus, your mind, towards the sensation of breath in your abdomen. Follow the breath in and notice the ballooning quality. Your belly expands and lifts. And notice that kind of sinking down through the abdomen, softening in the belly as you breathe out. If it doesn't feel like your breath is really reaching down into your abdomen just yet, don't stress about it. Just notice the places where it touches your torso. You might notice how it kind of reaches out and you feel a little movement in the backs of your arms. Maybe even a small movement through the legs as you breathe. And take one more breath like this and really direct it into the belly, balloon it up to the ceiling. Soften all the breath out. Take a little wiggle in your fingers and your toes. You can gently point and flex your feet. And you might feel how the whole body kind of rocks up and down. Start to circle your wrists around, wake them up. Good. Then go ahead and take your ankles off, your feet off of the blocks. Swing your arms up and overhead. Hook the thumbs at the top and just reach really long through both arms. With your exhale, you'll just side bend over to the right side. Take a breath in. If you'd like to, you can take your left ankle, cross it over top your right, and take a breath out here. Good. Release back to the center. Reach up, 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 and up. Inhale. Exhale, go to the left side. Feel a shortening in the left side waist. Inhale here, reach longer. Take the right ankle over top the left. Stay as you breathe out. Good. Back through to the center, a breath in here. And then as you exhale, sit up. Reach forward, help yourself come up. Good. And we'll take that backwards and down. So you'll think about rounding the low back and trying to move slowly as you roll down to your back. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, sit up, reach forward, use the arms to help you. Roll all the way back and down. Swing the arms overhead with your breath in. Exhale, sit up. Good. 3 more like that. Come back. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, sit up. You might stay empty as you roll down. Inhale. Exhale to sit up. 1 more like that. Lengthen back. Sit on up. Beautiful. Swing the hands back behind you. Step the feet in, and then you'll windshield wipe your knees side to side. And some days this feels really intense in my shoulders. Some days you'll feel it in the hips. So just notice where it's landing for you today. Take that back into the center. Take the right ankle, cross it over top the left thigh. So you've got this figure 4 shape. Give yourself some space if you feel cramped. And then try and walk your hands in just a little so that you can lift your chest a bit. Lift your butt up to a hover, stick your butt out so that you can try and bring your tail and your sit bones towards the ground, and you can help elevate your seat and give yourself some space by changing the position of your pelvis. Push your right thigh away with your imagination and really use the strength of the hip. Sit up a little taller, breathe a little fuller, and then stay. 2 more like that. Good. You can walk your hands back a little further. Take a couple windshield wipes with this orientation. You might be able to land your right foot flat to the floor when you go towards the left side. Very nice. Come back through to the center. You'll take your fingertips to face you or out to the sides. Just do something that feels neutral in your wrists. And then lift up so that you find a reverse tabletop. And you can let your head drop back if you'd like. Lower your hips towards a hover and then float your left foot away from the floor and you'll press up reverse tabletop. Lower your hips to a hover, find a breath in, and then exhale, press up, single leg reverse tabletop. Good. 3 more here. Inhale, lower. Exhale, press up. Good. 2 more. Inhale. Breathe out. 1 more like that. Good. Go ahead and drop your seat down. We'll take the left ankle and cross it over top the right thigh. Get yourself oriented so that you feel like you've got some space, and then start to use your hands to hover your butt, stick your butt out, sit up tall. Find the orientation of your thigh pressing away from your abdomen. And you might walk your hands in more as you attempt to sit up taller for the next 3 rounds of breath. You're doing great. Last round here. Really good. Walk your hands slightly back and take a few windshield wipes with the knees. Swipe them side to side. Plenty good. Come back through the center, both feet down, hands in, approximately underneath your shoulders. Lift up reverse tabletop. Maybe your head goes back again. Good. Lower your hips to a hover, pause there, float the right foot up, and then press your hips up. Inhale, lower to a hover. Exhale, lift. 3 more. Inhale here, lift up. Last 2. Good. Last 1. Really nice. Drop the hips down. You can cross at your shins, sit up nice and tall for a moment, and we'll find our way to a comfortable enough seat. I like to sit in hero's pose with a block between the ankles. If you prefer some other position, I'd invite you to sit on something. So that way your butt's not on the floor. Generally, when our butt's on the floor, our spine tends to round. I want you to find a taller spine in a slightly more neutral position. There will be a natural curve in the low back. Beautiful. We're going to draw some attention to the shoulders here. So bring your arms into a cactus shape. Knit your ribs in as if you're trying to press them into a wall back behind you. And now try and press your wrists and your elbows back. You'll hug the elbows down into the side waist. Keep reaching the wrists back as well. And then reach the arms up. Keep them bent and tap your fingertips overhead. Good. Pull the elbows down. Pinch into the side body. Keep reaching the wrists back. And then reach overhead, give yourself a little finger tap. Take 3 more here, down, and then up. 2 more here. Good, last one. Very nice. You'll either give yourself a big hug across your chest, choose your left arm over top your right arm, or if you feel comfortable, go for an eagle wrap. So you'll try and cross at the elbows and then cross at the forearms, and then maybe you'll bring the bottom arm to touch the top palm. It's your right hand on your right fingers on your left palm. From here, you can start to move through the elbows, whether you're hugging yourself or you have this eagle wrap, just exploring moving your elbows around in space. You can go right to left, you can go down and up, and you can try those same kind of angles on right and left. I like to play with some big circles. Play both directions too. And then find a moment here where you round your spine, reach the elbows forward. You can drop your head slightly. Take a couple breaths. Really good. Keep whatever you have with the arms, lift the chest. And then release the arms, give them a few swings forward and back. You can let opposite arms cross in front of you. And we'll take that over to the other side. So now you've got your right arm over top your left arm, either hugging yourself across your chest and trying to really reach for opposite shoulder blades here, or you've got that eagle wrap. And if you can't quite touch your own hand, maybe you grab your own wrist or forearm or whatever you can hold on to and start to just play with some movement, right? So moving the elbows around in space, taking them for circles. Let your spine move with whatever you're doing. And I'm just showing you the alternate option, right? So if you did the eagle wrap on one side, and unless you have some kind of injury, I would do the same thing on the other side. Good, and we'll find a moment together where we round. So reach the elbows forward, pull the ribs back, drop the head slightly. And we'll do the opposite. Lift the chest, let the head look up towards the ceiling, maybe it drops back. Release, big swings in the arms. Very nice. Let that go. Grab your two blocks, plant them underneath your hands, and find hands and knees with the blocks elevating you. Take some rocks back and forward just so you start to warm up your wrists. As you rock back, you might flex your fingertips up and then rock forward and push your fingertips down as you lean slightly forward. Good. We're going to play a little game with the wrists. So drop your seat towards your heels, whether or not it touches. Flex the fingertips towards your face and spread your fingers wide. And try not to let any part of your palm touch the floor. Start to shift your shoulders forward. Keep flexing the fingertips towards you. And at some point, the heels of the hands are going to come down. And now I don't want you to let your fingers or the rest of your palm touch. Feel that little bit of extra work in the front of your hand, the front of the wrist. Well, technically it's the back. Go ahead and sit back. All right, shift forward, try that same idea. And then shift back, and you're gonna give me 3 more like that. Really pulling the fingers towards you, trying to spread them wide and not let them touch down. Finding a moment where you're like, oh yeah, those are muscles in my hand and forearm. Last one. Really nice. Dig your fingertips into the blocks, lean forward, take some circles. And go the other way. Good. Find neutral, take 5 cat-cows your way. Very nice. Neutralize the spine. A little bit of extra attention to your core. So knit the ribs in, little tuck of the tail, and find that you're trying to lift the belly away from the ground. Even more engagement will be a sensation of trying to drag your inner thighs towards each other and then your hands towards your knees. So you really light up your core. Feel that little bit of fire here. Keep all of that going. Tuck your toes, hover your knees off of the ground, and keep that sensation of pulling the ground together underneath you. Shove the floor away. Keep finding that pull feeling. Keep it lifted. You got it. Another breath in, another breath out. One more. Tap the knees down. And we'll lift the right knee up and out to the side. The best analogy is the dog peeing on a fire hydrant, even though it's not cute or pretty. You're gonna want to lean to the left. I don't want you to. Lean towards the right and try and press the knee even higher up. Good, lower the thigh down. We're doing that 9 more times. Lift it up, reach the knee out to the right and lower down. Another 8. As high as you can go while you stay honest about reaching to the right. Here for 7 and 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Drop the shin down. Grab your blanket or sock and we'll bring it out to the right. And I want you to plant your foot onto the blanket sock. If you're on a rug, then you'll probably be able to slide and not give yourself rug burn. Otherwise, wear a sock. Go ahead and slide the leg out to the side. Here you can walk your hands off the blocks and let yourself slide as far as feels comfortable. Let your hips dip to the floor and then slide back in, coming back up. If you don't like traveling over the blocks, then go ahead and slide them forward and just travel across the ground, sliding the leg away from you and then pulling the leg in. And every time you pull the leg in, I want it to come from the leg, right? So it's almost as if you could not use your hands and you feel the engagement through your core, pushing your foot into the ground and onto your blanket, whatever your contact is, and using the strength of your inner thigh to drag yourself back to neutral or center. Good. Give me about 5 more slides here, out and in. We're going to stay down on the last one, and surprisingly, it'll actually be a little bit easier on you to drop your elbows, less weight in the hips. If that feels intense, then, stay where you need to stay. You can always slide in, you can always bring the opposite heel towards your butt, and you can sit back. That'll also lessen the intensity and change the stretch a bit, if you can tolerate it. Just put your elbows down, keep the heel in line with the knee, and work on taking some breaths that doesn't feel like an emergency here. Try and communicate to your body that stretching is safe. Take a long breath in and an even longer, slower breath out. And you just try that 2 more times. Good. Use your hands on the ground and slide your leg back in. So from here, I want you to drop down onto your left elbow. I'm going to give myself a little bit more space. You might do the same. And then tent your right fingertips out to the right at a diagonal. Lift your right leg up and away from the floor. Look towards the foot and try and lift it higher, and then tap the foot down. Good. Just like that. Another 9 more. You can do it. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Very nice. Walk your palms down to the ground. Here's where it's going to get a little funky. I want your right leg in front of your left leg. Cross it in front. Go ahead and shimmy your knees into the center underneath your belly button. Make your feet about as wide as your mat. If you feel like you've got tight hips, you might want to have a block available so that you can sit back on top of it, or a blanket or a cushion. If you know you are comfortable sitting on the floor, I want your butt on the ground. So I want both butt cheeks grounded. If you end up here, this is not your butt on the ground, right? That's a cheek lifted. So you might sit on a block or a blanket so that you can get both cheeks to the floor. And then from there, the idea would be to get your knees to come more to a cross. They might not be moving, that's okay. And then eventually the idea is to keep the knees crossed and start to widen the feet so that your heels come in one line while both hips stay grounded. And wherever you are on that spectrum is okay. It doesn't make you better to have more flexible hips. You're not a better person if you stretch deeper. But maybe you find, I don't know, a different relationship to yourself and you start to open yourself up in new ways if you challenge yourself there. So get to where you can stay comfortably and start to lean forward whenever forward is for you right now. Really nice. Lift your chest, uncross the legs. I'm gonna come into a bear sit to face the camera so you can find your bear sit shape with your toes out to the sides and then your heels in towards the center, 90-degree angle, right? So knees are bent, they're nice and high so that they're in line with the hips. Use the hands behind you and windshield wipe your knees from side to side. We're gonna keep the knees towards the left. So identify in your body what's right, what's left. You're gonna face your left shin. Your hands could be on the shin. You could have one out to the left and your right hand on your hip. But I just want you to feel like you can be here. So we're gonna focus our attention on our right heel, lift the heel up. It's okay if the hip turns a little bit for now, but eventually, I want you, as you start to get used to this, not turn your right hip forward and just focus on lifting the heel. Good. About 8 more like that. Good. All right, tap the heel down. The whole shin is gonna come away from the floor. You can use the support of the hand or lift the hand and use a little bit more support through your core. Lift the shin up and tap it down. Yeah, it's hard. Good. Another 8 like that. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, you can do it. 2, 1, good. Tap the shin down, windshield wipe the knees over to the other side. So now you've got 90/90s in both knees, and we're gonna take good mornings over this other shin, your right shin that was just working. So lean forward and then use a little bit of strength from your leg to push up. So if I did no hands, this is what it would be like. You can obviously use a little bit of support of the hands depending on how much practice you have in this arena. Good. Give it about 2 more good mornings and then you can stay over the shin. Good. Go ahead and lean forward. Hands can come down, elbows could come down. A few breaths here. If your leg is wandering, you can cup your right heel with your left hand. Hold on to it. Good. Lift your chest up. Come back through the center. One more bear sit. This time, the hands are gonna come forward if it's available, right? So lift the chest, knees wide. Try to maintain that spine. Hands might come forward towards calves, shins, and then elbows can dip into your legs. You'll try to lift up while you drop your arms low. And everything is a paradox in movement. We're trying to move our bones, our body in 2 directions at once, sometimes like 4 or a million directions at once, infinite directions at once, so that we start to create a tension inside the body and either we're lengthening, stretching, strengthening, and finding some kind of forward movement in that, some kind of advancement or some kind of therapeutic effect with that polarity. Good. And in all of that, you can let that go. You're the one in the middle. So it's a wonderful practice to locate yourself. When you pull yourself in 2 directions, you find what's forward, what's back, and then you find you're the one in the center. We're gonna do that all on the other side. So your blanket or whatever you used, bring it off to the left. And then find your blocks, put them underneath your hands, and meet me in a tabletop. You can take a couple moments to get reoriented, cat-cows. I like to cinch through side body, whatever works for you. 5 breaths on your own. Very good work. Find that neutral spine. You'll find the sensation of low belly coming in, ribs coming in, little engagement through the center of you. Drag the hands in, drag the knees in towards the hands, and then magnetize the inner thighs towards each other. Keep all of that light up the center of you. Tuck the toes, hover the knees, hovering tabletop. Take 3 breaths. Go tap the knees down. We're immediately going into some knee lifts here. So your left knee is going to lift up and out to the side. And before you go anywhere, I want you to press your hips to the left, maybe look to the left and try and lift the knee higher. Good. Lower the shin down. and then press the leg back up. Lean to the left as if you're reaching your shin towards the left side. 8 more like that. Press your belly button towards the left. Another 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very good. Take your left foot, go ahead and plant it on top of your blanket or have your sock on, and we'll start to do those slides. Sliding the leg away, maybe you travel down the blocks and then slide it back in. I prefer not to have the blocks there, so you could always slide them away from you. And you'll take yourself on this journey of trying to find the sensation of your leg doing the work, dragging in, rather than your hands moving to be the thing that kind of just drags your leg as dead weight along with you. Instead, your leg is creating the tension here. Good. Take about 3 more slides and then meet me at the bottom. We'll stay at the bottom. Keep your hips slightly back so that they're in line with the knees. Elbows maybe come down, and you try to tolerate it. Slow down your exhales. Maybe close your eyes. Try to create a sense of inner serenity. Inner peace. Even if it's the most stressful thing you've done all day long. Good. Hands to the ground. Slide your leg back in. Take a second here. Feel like you didn't lose your leg. Beautiful. We're going to drop the right elbow down to the floor and tent the left fingertips out to the left and try the same idea, leg lifts, but now with this slight different orientation. Before we lift the leg, already press your whole torso and hips towards the left, and you'll think about that every time the leg comes up. All right, let's do it. Left leg lifts and press open towards the left. Tap down, another 9, 8, 7, 6, you got it. 5, you can do it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Bring your hands down. We'll take the left leg and cross it in front of the right leg. Bring the knees in the center underneath you, feet nice and wide, and you might use a block or whatever support underneath your bum. Otherwise, put your bum down on the floor or on your support. If you can orient your thighs more into a cross. It's nice to kind of spin your thighs into this. So I like to take my right hand underneath this top thigh and then the other hand on the top and externally rotate it so the top hand spirals away from you while the bottom hand pulls in. And that might help you kind of twist your legs more to your cross. Feet as wide as they'll go without lifting your bum, and then lean as far forward as feels comfortable. Good. Go ahead and lift your chest. Uncross your legs and we'll meet in a bear sit. So 90-degree angles at the knees, at the ankles as well. Take a few windshield wipes from side to side. We're going to meet with the knees on the right side. So maybe your hands are supporting you on the leg or off to the side. Draw your attention towards your left heel, your back heel, and start to lift that up. If your hip turns, remember the first couple, that's okay. But then you're going to start to play with, okay, what if I sit tall and just focus on lifting the heel just a little bit. It's okay if it comes up barely. It's a challenging movement. Take about 8 more. Good. Let the heel stay down, and then we're gonna lift the whole shin up, right? So you could use the hand off to help you, or no hand, lift the whole shin up and tap down. Good. Another 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop your knees to the other side and make sure that this shin is really in a 90-degree angle. So if it's kind of bent towards you, that's not 90 degrees. Like, come back to geometry for a second. Bring the shin parallel to the top of a mat, or just think that there's a line in front of you and try to aim parallel. Good mornings over the leg, with or without your hands. You lean forward and come up. Even if you're using your hands, find this moment where you kick the floor to rise. And that's going to be where we start to cultivate strength and flexibility at the same time, right? We're putting load on the leg, asking it to lengthen because of the position that it's in, and then we're asking the leg to stay long and work at the same time. And that's how we have the most resilient muscles. Take 3 more here, and then we'll stay down. Is when our muscles can contract in a lengthened position as well as in a shortened position. Stay low. Beautiful. A few more breaths. Really nice. Lift the chest up. Take a few windshield wipes to shake that off. We're going to do 2 other shapes together before we close out. So for this next one, blocks underneath your hands. You're going to step your right foot forward for a low lunge. All right, so lift the back knee up. If you don't want blocks, obviously, hands on the floor. And just take a second here, rock a little forward and back, and find some strength in this. Maybe get light through the hands a couple times, take some bounces off of the blocks. You might float your hands up and just be in the depth of your hips here. Go ahead and tap the back knee down. Press your hands onto your front thigh, whatever you want with the back foot. I like top of the foot down. Lean a little bit back while you try to keep your hips low. So as we lean back, it'll be natural for us to want to kind of come out of it, but I want your hips to stay low as if you're trying to sit onto your right heel while you lift your chest. Couple breaths. Good work. All right, let's do the other side. Just switch. So we're staying up with the knee lifted for a moment. Give your calf a little stretch with this rock forward and back. Maybe even lengthen the stance a bit and pulse the hips lower. And then you can start to play with that pulse, lifting your hands a couple times. And try to stay low in the hips, float the hands up. Tap the back knee down to the floor, and then walk your hands onto your front thigh. And if you need to kind of give yourself a second, come out, get back into it, and stay low while you get tall through the spine. Low in the pelvis, tall in the spine. A little bit more strength through your back leg, so find a nice strong kick through the foot. The knee doesn't have to lift, but think that strong. Good. All right. Bring both shins underneath you. Just sit over top your heels for a moment. If you've got a blanket or a cushion, I want you to bring that in here. I'm going to make mine hot dog shaped. If you can't reshape your object, don't worry about it. This is going to go underneath my pelvis, and you might do the same thing too. So I'll show you. It's going to go up the upper third if you've got a mat. If you don't have a mat, just think you want some space in front and some space in back. Blocks in front of you. Bring your right shin forward for a half pigeon. So you can come into a lunge shape first and then toe heel the foot across. I want the knee nice and wide so it's next to your right wrist or just behind it. And then the back knee is going to stay lifted for now. So go ahead and tuck the toes, lift the knee up, rock a little bit forward and back. And as you rock back, you try and drop your butt onto whatever is underneath you. And then you're gonna stay seated on that. You can use the back foot to lift the knee and kind of scoot the leg longer back behind you, pull a little bit of extra length, and then just drop the foot, forget about that leg for a second, lift your chest. Good, kick strong through that leg as if the big toe of your back leg could reach even further back behind you. If eventually there's a wall back behind you, imagine that that toe is reaching for the wall. Hug your right hip slightly more back and roll your left hip slightly more forward. We're going to take some spinal waves here, so set your blocks out of the way. I like to use my hands tented. Think arch in your spine. So send your heart forward, elbows will bend, and you'll think heart comes to the ground first. And then drop your head, chin to your chest. Think back of the spine, back of the neck comes up first. Rounded spine helps you rise. Open the throat at the top. Arch to come down. Round and roll up. Couple more. Good. You can stay low for a moment, elbows down or hands to the floor. Very nice. We're going to set ourselves up on the other side. If you need more time here, pause the video, do your thing. If you want a moment, you could do a forward fold, a down dog, something to kind of neutralize whatever's going on for you. And we'll set up blocks under the hands, back leg lifted. The blocks just gives you space if you feel tight. It's always nice to give ourselves more space than to like constrict ourselves, especially when we're newer to a flexibility practice. Lift the back leg. This way you'll come back tomorrow if you don't treat yourself horribly. But if you treat yourself well in it and make it like accessible, then maybe you'll return. I'm all about trying to come back the next day. So a few rocks here to drop your hips down. Anything that'll make you return over and over again. As long as it doesn't hurt you or someone else, I'm a fan. Good. Sit down. Forget about the back leg for a second and lift your chest up. Good. Now remember your back leg and reach it longer, as if you could grow by 2 inches through the whole leg, grow through the top of the foot, front of the hip, and then pull the left hip more back. Keep reaching the right hip forward and down. Gorgeous. We're going to take some spinal waves, same idea as last time. You'll arch to come down and round and roll up. Take about 3 more before you fold. Good. Fold forward. Start to walk your hands in, float your chest up. Anything to neutralize a forward fold, a down dog. And we'll end similar to how we started. Just lie yourself all the way down onto the floor. If you want, you can take that blanket across your hips or across your abdomen. Either stare at the ceiling or soften your eyes closed. And draw the breath into the belly, and balloon the belly up to the ceiling. And let it go. And notice if the belly breaths are easier. 3 more. If you've got time, you can continue to meditate with your breath, staying on your back as long as it feels good for you. If you've got to move on with the rest of your day, then find some movements, come up and give yourself a pat on the back. Great work. And I'll see you soon. Have a good one.